Moin, ihr wunderbare Menschen des Interwebs. Ich begrüße euch ganz herzlich zurück zu meinem Let's Play von The Great Ace-Attorney Chronicles. Im letzten Part haben wir aufgehört beim Pfandleiher und dort ist, ja, ich weiß gar nicht, so viel rausgekommen eigentlich nicht. Nur Herr Gregson kam rein, Inspektor Gregson kam rein und meinte, ja, alles was mit McGilde zu tun hat, wird in Gewahrsam genommen und da bin ich mir gespannt, ob wir jetzt mehr davon mehr herausfinden können. See, and that's why I hate grown-ups. All they do is feed you a pack of lies and take stuff away from you. Oh really, Miss Lestrade? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm? Would... Oh my, surely you were given that. Yeah, the deal let me keep it. After I looked daggers at him for long enough. He went through the pockets and then said, go on then, have it, before telling me to scurper. Always pays off, giving people a look like you ate them. I can't help feeling that it's going to get you into serious trouble one day. What I really wanted was that nice shiny disc of mine. The music box disc? But Mr. Windybank said it was particularly worthless. I think I'm gonna go and have another bash, give him a long hard stare. I think not, Miss Lestrade. We shan't enter Windybanks again today. Why not? That's not fair. It can't be helped, I'm afraid. The police are investigating the scene now and taking a statement from Mr. Windybank. But that disc's mine. I had the ticket for this coat and it was in this coat's pocket. And there should be something else in all. That's what that rotten cough said, ain't it? Yes, he did mention something about another article, didn't he? Well then, that's mine too. Whatever it is. Now she's really pushing her luck. Miss Lestrade, I think it's time to admit defeat. You've had your whole haul for the day. Yeah, and it's all your fault, Chomps. So what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening? Iris would be delighted to cook, I'm sure, and I might entertain you with a modest violin recital. No, why would I come round your place, huh? Have you lost your head or something? Oh dear, she's gone. Having revealed on me quite unnecessarily, I might add. I can't help wondering if perhaps she might turn up anyway. Interesting. Once she's had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she will decide to come. Very well then. I will inform Iris to set a place for our potential guest at the dinner table this evening. And one more thing. I should be glad of your company later too. Sorry. I believe I will have a rather splendid surprise to show you. Oh, how exciting! What is it? You shall have to wait and see, Miss Susato, until later then. Okay, dann würde ich sagen, gehen wir in Chomps Suite. Apartment. Einfach. Ah, Susie and Bruno, come in. Good afternoon, Iris. Ich muss sagen, ich kann echt momentan nicht mehr lesen. Thank you so much for breakfast this morning. Oh, don't mention it. Goodness, look at the time already. Busy as always. I am. I'm preparing everything for dinner this evening. Already? You're obviously cooking something special, are you? Oh yes, after all, we have a special guest joining us. Guess who it is? Go on. You will never guess. Look at those little eyes of hers shining. Oh dear, it is awkward when you already know the answer, isn't it? It's Ginny, isn't that exciting? Oh, what a surprise. Yes, that's wonderful news. Well, Iris seems overjoyed at the idea. I can't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional. Oh yes, that does sound like fun. Not sure that's entirely appropriate. Oh mein Gott, ich weiß, wie man das Wort ausspricht, aber wenn ich es sehe, ist mein Brain so... Was? Appropriate. Are you Mr. Naruhodo? Das ist immer noch falsch. Mein Gott, ich krieg's gerade nicht hin. By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Sholmes up to? Early? Oh, he's been like that ever since he got back. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. I beg that you won't speak to me. Sorry? I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I'm not here. I don't know how to respond to that. I do apologize. When he gets like this, he's completely oblivious to everything. Yes, I see. Really, he behaves just like a child sometimes, Hurley does. Mr. Sholmes and Iris have something of a parent and child relationship, don't they? Yes, except that Iris is clearly the parent here. Come to think of it, I wonder where her real parents are. What's the matter, Runo? You have ever such a funny look on your face. Oh, no, it's nothing. I know what it is. Why does this girl live here with Mr. Sholmes, you're wondering? Am I right? How did you... Oh, Runo, I can read you like a book. This girl is dangerous. Don't worry, you can ask me anything, I won't mind. Okay, dann würde ich sagen, machen wir das doch mal. So, by Ginny, you mean Miss Lestrade, the young woman from the McGilda case 2 months ago, right? Yes, who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Also, after that trial, I invited her back here and we had dinner together, and now we are the best of friends. Oh, what a lovely tale. Yes, now if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can. And I chase after her down the back alleys. Interesting idea of friendship. And then I let her have the latest color of smoke grenade I've developed. There are so many beautiful colors in the world, Ginny wants me to make a whole rainbow. I suppose this means you've let Miss Lestrade keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you? Launcher. Yes, that's right. I'd got bored of it anyway. Hurley always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now. Poor Hurley. Oh, I can't wait for Ginny to arrive. It's been too long since she last came over. I'm so excited. I just hope she does actually come. I'm sure you've been wondering why it is that I live here with Hurley, haven't you? Well, it has crossed my mind. That and where are your real parents? My mommy and daddy aren't with me anymore. Mommy passed away when I was born. And at around the same time my father... Well, he had to go to a faraway land because of one of the cases he and Hurley were working on. Wait a minute. Did you say he and Hurley? Yes, Daddy and Hurley were always solving mysterious cases together. She didn't mention that before. He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's in the metal chest over there. Really? He recorded them all? Ja, ich glaube, dass Iris' Vater ist doch Dr. Watson, der in Japan ermordet wurde. Oder? Ich glaube, dass das ihr Vater ist. So, you mean it's true? Mr. Sholmes really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of his most taxing cases? Oh yes, I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it? So, Mr. Sholmes' partner was your father? Exactly. Hurley told me I wasn't allowed to look in the chest, but that only made me want to look even more, so I opened it up. Found your father's memoirs. Yes, so I asked Hurley who wrote these. He nearly fell off his chair. But then he told me. That's when I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father. So Iris' father was Mr. Sholmes' partner. I've practically lived with Hurley all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So it came as quite as a shock when Hurley told me he wasn't really my daddy. I mean, it must have done. I wonder why Mr. Sholmes chose to tell you, and at such a young age. Hurley says it because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me. Well, having lived with Hurley all these years, you might say that his ways have rubbed off on me. There are some things I can just see. Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouths sometimes. Right. Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's what inspired me to write The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, actually. I'd always assumed Sir Sholmes simply told you all those thrilling stories. Oh no, Hurley's hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he solved the case, it all vanished from his mind. I see. The other day it was so embarrassing. As usually, he totally forgot about the case he would just solved. So the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again. It was quite a shock for everyone. You can say that again. You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris? That's right, Wilson. Daddy is Dr. John H. Wilson. Ah ja, stimmt, die haben den Watson haben die auch geändert. Wilson. I learned from his diaries that he's a doctor of medicine, you see. That's what prompted me to study and study so that I could earn a doctorate as well. It's his father who went to some distant land and is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right, visiting professor of medicine at Imperial Yume University, and the man who, in the most bizarre of circumstances, lost his life just before we left Japan. Susato, yes. Perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. I think that would be for the best. Ah, my dear fellows, how good to see you. Mr. Sholmes. Wherever did you not make your presence known to me before? Well, no matter now. So, how the devil are you? We have been with you for most of the day. Goodness, really? Do tell me, Mr. Sholmes, is your violin unscathed? My violin? Whatever are you talking about, dear madam? Never mind that now. I have something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows! Oh, another music box disc? No, not another disc, Miss Susato. This is the one Gregson demanded we hand over as evidence, Mr. McGildock's disc. Then what's it doing here? You know, at times, Mr. Naruhodo, I think that so I have an undeniable turn-off for detection. I may well be even more adept at larceny. That would be wonderful, exciting. I would be your pickpocketing assistant. And Runo could be our go-to lawyer if we ever got caught. Right. Plus, Susie has such beautiful handwriting, she could write all our menacing crime notifications. Yes, I would be delighted. I'm just going to pretend this conversation never happened, I think. I don't understand. How did that disc come to be in your possession? I thought Inspector Gregson took it back to Scotland Yard. Quite correct. And that sort of uncompromising attitude is precisely why I always carry some of this. That's a bar of caramel, Mr. Sholmes. Your one and only friend in times of loneliness, if I'm not mistaken. If you will humor me, dear fellows, cast your minds back to when the good detective confiscated the disc. I will be taking that, whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard. Thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh, yes, of course. If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not? Yes you did, but I still don't understand. It was at precisely that moment that I summoned my one and only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars like this. That's amazing. The disc and all the minuscule protrusions have made an image in the caramel. Indeed, this caramel is quite exceptional. I developed it myself, you know. Suitable soft for making impressions, but resistant to melting, the result of a precisely controlled solution. How extraordinary! Carrying a pair of these on one's person frequently proves very useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. A simple press and its unique form is duplicated. I can enter anyone's property at will and never without high sucrose nourishment. Yes, it sounds illegal. From the image, I was able to create this. I confess I was most curious to know what manner of music would issue from the disc when played. Do tell us then, Mr. Sholmes. What music does the disc play? Well, unfortunately, I have no idea. No idea? None whatsoever. Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear fellows? No, I'm afraid not. Goodness, you don't know, Runo? Inside a music box, there's a special metal piece called a comb. That's what produces the sound. Small protuberances pluck the different teeth of the comb as they rotate past it, making the different notes. The first music boxes to be invented used a rotating cylinder with protuberances on it. But over time, a new type of player was produced which uses discs such as these. With that development, the popularity of music boxes spread far and wide all around the globe. Why exactly? Because the discs are easy to produce and can be interchanged to facilitate the playing of different tunes. There are a great many firms in Europe now manufacturing music boxes as a result. It is wonderful to be able to enjoy music even when no performer is present. But it is very success of the invention that means we are now presented with an insurmountable problem. What do you mean? As you may imagine, the construction of one firm's music box does not match that of another, and we have no way of knowing in which music box this particular disc was designed to be played. There's no resolution to this problem, I'm afraid. It's quite intractable. I see. So that's why... Naturally, I tested the disc in those few music boxes I have at my disposal. But as you can hear, to no avail. The results were equally unsatisfactory in this one. I am presently engaged in acquiring an example of all the music boxes ever made in Europe. Every single one? That's early for you, always taking things too far. But my dear girl, an unsolved riddle is quite repugnant to my constitution. But surely all the different types in Europe will amount to a huge volume of music boxes, won't it? Yes, that is certainly true. In the worst case, I shall just have to ask you to vacate the attic room. Magnus McGilded, not a name I expected to hear again so soon. Yes, it's only been 2 months since that grisly case. Mr. McGilded perished within hours of the trial's conclusion. Was it the curse of the Reaper? No one knows. Still now. The omnibus was reduced to a pile of ash. Not a shred of evidence remained. And with the man's death, the truth about the murder in which he was so intimately involved was buried. Even though we successfully established Mr. McGildett's innocence in the trial, the newspapers are still claiming that it remains an unsolved case. The murder of the brickmaker, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In the end, the truth of the matter remains a mystery. We still have no idea what really happened that night. And also, Mr. McGildet was found not guilty through my defense. I still don't know if that was the right judgment or not. It would appear the case is not yet closed. Well, it's time I started getting things ready for dinner, I think. Ginny will be here before long. Thank you, Iris. Oh, well, you must let me help you then. Of course, Susie, there's plenty to do. I think I shall investigate the condition of my faithful performing partner. Now then, where did I leave it? Let this be a lesson to you, Mr. Sholmes. Never leave anything too precious with the pawnbroker. Yes, you may be right. Oh, that reminds me of something Mr. Windibank said before. He said that he had a manuscript of Iris's in pawn, didn't he? Did he? Yes, he definitely mentioned it. Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom, where his words I believe. So you heard about that, did you? I expect you were as incensed as I was. Oh yes, the idea of such a wonderful story languishing in Mr. Windibank's storeroom, gathering dust. My dear madam, I'm quite sure I told you already. The pawnbroker's storeroom is the safest place for it, more secure than a bank's vault. And what about your Stradivarius, Hurley? Was that safe and secure? Well, there may be occasional mix-up, caused by a third impetuous someone not too far from me now. Do you have any idea how long it took me to write that basketball story, Hurley? Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. What's going on here? Why does it feel like an icy chill just swept through the room? Susie, what did you just say? You said, The Hound of the Baskervilles. But how could you know the full title? Well, that's because Miss Susato is such a great fan of all the stories about Mr. Sholmes, of course. But Runo, The Hound of the Baskervilles has never been published. What? When I showed Hurley the manuscript, he told me that I wasn't allowed to publish it yet. I don't understand. That's why he said that he would keep it safe, until it was the right time for the story to be made public, you see. So, that's why the manuscript is at Windibank's. And yet, how could Susie here know its title? Well, Hurley, what's going on? What is it, Mr. Sholmes? It would appear our guest has arrived. Miss Lestrade. This was a bad idea. I knew I weren't welcome. I'm going. No, wait, Miss Lestrade. We've all been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Haven't we, Iris? Oh, yes, just wait there, Ginny. We will have everything ready in a jiffy. Come along, Susie. Right, of course. It's a pleasure to see you here, Mrs. Wright. Please, make yourself at home. Don't stand in the doorway, my dear girl. Come along in. What say you to some Mendelssohn? I won't take a no for an answer. Bitte! Ja, es ist süß. That evening, Iris prepared us all a meal that was even more delicious than usual. Mr. Shum's violin performance was in no way meddlesome, and Gina, as we came to call her, taught us all how to steal things from one another without being noticed. Everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves well into the night. That was a very enjoyable evening, wasn't it? Oh yes, Iris' cooking was truly divine. And I feel as though I can still hear the enchanting strains of Mr. Shum's violin even now. Best of all, I bet I could steal the glasses from his lordship's face next time we are in court. Naruhodo-san, could I consult you with about something, I wonder? What's the matter, Susato-san? It's about the telegram I received. The one that arrived first thing this morning, I suppose. I have been summoned. What? Summoned? What do you mean? The telegram was from the Lord Chief Justice office. Lord Strongheart has asked to see me. The Lord Chief Justice? When? Tomorrow morning. What? Then we have to start preparing at once. Oh, no. That won't be necessary, Naruhodo-san. I have been summoned alone. Alone? What on earth for? I have no idea. I suppose I shall find out tomorrow. What's all this about? Whatever it is, it's making me feel very uneasy. Oh, who could that be, I wonder? Good evening, friends! Ah, Iris, hello again. And Sheena too. Yes, Jeannie's going to stay with us tonight. She's going to sleep in with me. Isn't that right, Jeannie? Well, yeah. How lovely. Let me make a pot of tea. You know, I've learned so much today. Oh, what in particular? All those things Ginny showed us, wasn't it wonderful? Ah, you mean all those pickpocketing techniques? We had fun trying them out on each other, didn't we? I think I've awakened a natural talent. I could learn a living from it. I could earn a living from it. You might be getting ahead of yourself a little there. So, what brings you up to our humble quarters at this late hour? Well, you see, I came to return this. Wait, what? That's mine. Oh my, however did you... I told you, didn't I? I have a natural talent for it. Oh yes, I'd forgotten. Iris literally is a child genius. So anyway, here, you can have it back. Not that I really understand why you wear it, though. Thank you. Alright then, good night. Yes, good night. So this is your outfit, is it? What do you think, Ginny? I think I wouldn't fancy me chances with a lawyer would I lived in a place like this. Yes, me too. It seems as though Iris here still has something she would like to talk about. I suppose she probably wants to talk about the manuscript. Yes, I suppose she probably does. Iris, I suppose you're hoping to talk about the manuscript, aren't you? Aren't you going to tell me? I am so sorry. I need a little more time, please. Alright, I understand. I hope I haven't made you feel awkward. Oh no, not at all, Iris, not at all. I don't know what all this is about, really, but... It's a story you made up, is it, Iris? This mantle script, or whatever you call it? It's not exactly a story that I made up. It's something I read in Daddy's diaries. Daddy's? That's right. I don't suppose I've mentioned it to you before, Ginny, but my daddy was Hurley's assistant once, his partner. They solved all sorts of strange and mysterious cases together. Is that right, mister? Apparently so. I was as surprised as you are, though. And Daddy wrote all the details of every single case down, you see, in his diaries. So I study them and write my stories based on what actually happened. So, where's your old man now, then? He had to go away on urgent business to a faraway land, and he will be gone a very long time. So, I've never really met him. Alright. To think of it. I don't know anything about Gino's parents either. Perhaps we should ask her. Iris, this Hound of the Baskerville story, I take it that it's another tale inspired by your father's accounts? That's right, I thought it was fascinating. But it's different somehow, from the other cases, I mean. How? I don't really know, but it must be special in some way, because after I would written it and I showed the manuscript to Hurley, he turned as white as a sheet. It was the first time I've ever seen him like that. It pains me to have to say this after you've toiled over it for so long, Iris, but this story must not be published at this time under any circumstances. But why not? It's one of my best works. I am not at liberty to say, not now, so please do not ask me. Alright then, I won't. But I do solemnly swear that I will explain everything one day, Iris, when the time is right. And that's how the manuscript came to be with Mr. Windybank, isn't it? Hurley said it had to be somewhere very safe. That really gets my goat, that does. As treating you like a child. It means that what it is keeping secrets like that. I'm sure Mr. Shums isn't trying to be mean. If he said he wasn't at liberty to talk about it, I'm sure there must have been a very good reason. I think so too. You lot are too trusting for your own good, but he can't pull the wool over my eyes. Shums is lying to Iris, I bet my life on it. Hurley's lying to me? Oh, das ist doch nur ein Drama, das darauf wartet zu passieren, diese Story. Ich glaube, der Fall wird noch sehr, sehr, sehr traurig werden. Okay, aber ich würde gerne einmal mit Gina reden. I've realized that I don't know anything about your parents, Gina. I ain't got any, have I? Never did have. Look, the East End's full of orphans like me. No one wants nothing to do with us from the minute we are born, not even our moms. But we all stick together. The older ones look after the little ones and make sure they get by. But that's why you're a pickpocket. Divine's my life. I love it. I get a kick out of it every time I lift some pompous idiot's purse. And that's how we all afford to eat. I'm like Robin Hood, ain't I? That's how I see it. Gina. I do think about it sometimes. Would it be like to have parents, I mean? I always thought I would make everything right. But Evan listened to what Iris just said. It sounds like Evan parents ain't always easy either. I mean, if you know you never ate them, you don't feel like you're always wanting to meet them. It's true. I do want to see Daddy so much. Iris. Gina, what did you mean when you said that you know Mr. Sholmes is lying to Iris? Well, he reckons he popped that mental script or whatever, right? But come on, that's obviously a lot of rubbish. Oh my, why would you think that, Gina? It's simple. If that story was really an old Windybank storeroom, there is no way someone from way around the world, in other words, you, could known about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. But Hurley would never do something like that, I'm sure of it. Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Bare-faced liars, the lot of them. You just ain't realized it yet. I'm telling ya, that mental script ain't at Windybank's. You would soon see if you had a look. Even if you think you can trust him, I don't. That Sholmes is a liar like the rest of them. If I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. Oh, but I don't mean that I think he sold it. I mean that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. Don't be too hard on yourself, Iris. Ey, das ist so traurig, ey, das zerbricht mein Herz. Oh my goodness, look at the time. Come along, Ginny, we should go back downstairs. Yeah, alright. And please, don't mention any of this to Hurley, will you? No, of course not. Good night then, Iris. Good night, Gina. You must let me make breakfast for you tomorrow morning, I insist. Oh yes, please, I can't wait, Susie. Good night then. Iris, it sure is easy to forget, isn't it? Sometimes she speaks just like an adult, but deep down, she's still just a child. Well, I think it's time that I turned in for the night too, Naruhodo-san. Dr. John H. Wilson, Iris' father, but also the name of the murdered visiting professor at Yumi University. It can't be a mere coincidence. There's something deeper going on. Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo. Please, that's Mr. Sholmes. What's going on? It's the middle of the night. It's Miss Lestrade. She's gone. Gina? She was supposed to be sleeping in Iris's room, but her bed is empty. Well, she's an independent young woman. She probably decided to go home, no? I think not. From speaking to her before she retired, I received the distinct impression that she was looking forward to breakfasting with Miss Susato. No, I don't believe the girl has gone home, but I've been waiting for over an hour now. Over an hour? If you will indulge me, look out of the window, my dear fellow. What's this about? Wait a minute, why is there a light on at this time of night? That's Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery. Mr. Windybank's? Oh no. It's simple. If that story was really an old Windybank storeroom, there is no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words, you, could known about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. Could Gina have gone It seems you have some knowledge of the situation, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry, oh, no. No, not really. Well, anyway, we must investigate. At once. Miss Susato. The door to Winniebank's. It's open. And the lamp is burning. Must be Gina, mustn't it? Let us hope it's nothing more sinister. What? Come, there's not a moment to lose. Clearly something is afoot inside. There's no one here. Oh yes, there is. Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes! What the... Has Sholmes been shot? Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo. But after them, go! Right. Blast! I've lost them. Hello, hello? What have we here? The alarm was... Wait, what? The alarm was just raised from his pawnbrokers, sir. Would you know something about it? About that? Officer, come with me. It's my friend, Mr. Sholmes. He's been shot. Shot? Ja, ich dachte erst, dass Gina das gesagt hat, wegen dem Dialekt. The policeman close behind me. I ran back to Winniebank's.
Holmes-san! Naruhodo-sama. 大丈夫ですか? 僕は大丈夫だ。心配ない。それよりもあの扉の向こうだ。早く。Gina-san!
To be continued. Okay. Da ist jetzt wieder sehr viel auf einmal passiert. Allgemein war das alles unfassbar traurig. Die Geschichte mit Iris, die Geschichte von Gina. Also Gina ist ja schon eine Waisin, eigentlich seit ihrer Geburt. Iris' Vater ist eigentlich tot, aber keiner sagt ihr das. Und sie vermisst ihn natürlich. Und oh mein Gott, also das war alles unfassbar traurig. Also mir hat das Herz 10-mal zerrissen, mir das mit anzuhören. Es ist so sad. Und jetzt bin ich mal gespannt, was jetzt dabei rauskommt. Ich hoffe jetzt mal nicht, dass Gina hier verdächtigt wird, den Pfandleiher umgebracht zu haben. Und natürlich hoffe ich auch, dass es Gina gut geht. Also man hat jetzt nicht irgendwie bei ihr Blut gesehen, also dass sie jetzt verletzt war. Sie war ohnmächtig auf jeden Fall. Aber ich habe jetzt nicht irgendwie so eine Wunde gesehen, dass sie, ja, eben tödlich verletzt wurde. Und es sah mehr so aus, als wäre sie ohnmächtig gewesen. Deswegen gehe ich jetzt und hoffe natürlich auch, dass es ist. Aber den Pfandleiher hat es leider erwischt. Und 2 Gestalten sind weggerannt und haben auf Sholmes geschossen. Und ja, ich bin jetzt mal gespannt, wie das Ganze weitergeht, was da noch rauskommen wird und wer dann wirklich da verdächtigt wird des Mordes. Hier gibt es jetzt aber erstmal einen Cut. Ich bedanke mich ganz herzlich fürs Zusehen. Hoffe, ihr hattet Spaß. Und wenn ihr mögt, sehen wir uns sehr gerne im nächsten Part wieder. Bis dahin. Ciao.